Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Lowdown. Today I'm absolutely thrilled to be joined by the technical director of HAVRE'S famous academy, Mickael Bunel, for a chat inside their unique coaching philosophy. Mickael, welcome to the show.
Hi, Connor. Thank you for inviting me, and I'm very pleased to be with you tonight.
Mickael, I think I've ruined it already. Is it Mickael or Michael? I'll stick.
Yeah, Michael, Mickael. I mean, it's a universal name. So it can be pronounced everywhere in every languages.
Right,
So
we'll
don't
we'll
worry
go
about
we'll go with Michael. We'll go with Michael. So,
it. Yes.
obviously spending nigh on 20 years now at the infamous Le Havre Academy, I suppose. I mean, what was your football upbringing before arriving at the club?
Um, well, I mean, I'm not, as you said, we're working in an academy. So academy means teaching process, teaching the kids how to play football. I used to be a teacher. I was an English teacher a long time ago, and now I'm a youth developer, directing, I would say, the academy. And my objective is to teach the kids or to prepare them to reach the highest level. So of course we select the players, when they come into the academy, and then my job is to prepare or to organize a methodology from 5.5 to 20 to make sure that we help them to grow and to be ready to maybe one day to reach the top level. So this is my job. So I'm very happy now because I used to be a teacher. Now I'm a coach. So I'm mixing, I would say, my both passions, which is teaching and football. And this is what I do every day in the academy.
Doesn't sound like the worst job in the world, but you mean ultimately there's been such sustained success stemming from Le Havre's academy for generations now, it seems. But for you, having been inside there for 16 to 20 years, what is the core strategy or foundation underpinning all of this success?
First, yes, you're right. I mean, maybe it's important to understand the club before talking about the methodology and the strategy. Le Havre is a small club. We are playing in League Two. We used to be in League One a long time ago. Now, of course, if you compare Le Havre to Lyon, to Paris Saint-Germain, or to other clubs in Europe, we are far from them because we don't have the same facilities. We don't have as much money as they have. But youth development and the academy has always been, I would say, the heart of the project of the club, or the sport project of the club. That means when the chairman, a long time ago, was owning the club, he decided to develop, I would say, this academy, and because we were producing a lot of players, we kept on, working on developing academy, on developing players. And now we have new chairman. We have there was a technical director before me. Now there's going to be a technical director after me. But the philosophy of the club is really based, on youth development. And of course, because we have this philosophy, then it's very easy because you are famous. You can your fame, is based on the players, we produced, in the past. So it's very easy to attract, I would say, some players. And then every day, we are lucky to have uh, a team. I would say a team because this is a staff, but for me it's a team. We've been working all together for a long time now, and we know each other very well. There is no competition between the coaches. There is no competition between the teams. Our only objective is to produce players. So my objective for me is to bring the players to the pro team. And to do this, we have a strategy every day, a methodology we use every day, from the very youngest one, to the reserve team, okay, to help the players to grow technically, tactically, physically, mentally, okay. And one, I would say, specific aspect we are developing now in Le Havre is perception and scanning, because this is for me a quality that is required to become a top player. Because when we compare all the players we produced, in the academy, those players, like Pogba, like Mendy, Ferland Mendy in Real Madrid, like Riyad Mahrez, all those players, had something more than the other ones. We have top players in the academy, but those succeed because they have something different. And because of my experience, as you said, I've been working there for 17 years now. Uh, I try to analyze, and I say maybe scanning and perception can be something that make the difference. Of course, they have a good technique, they have a physical qualities, but maybe something that make the difference. And we have this scanning work, with our kids, every day or almost every day, in as part of our methodology.
We'll touch on scanning in a bit. I have a keen interest in that anyways, Michael. But what I'm very interested in touching upon is, of course, Le Havre is in a bit of a rural area. For those that don't know, however, Paris is a big catchment area, like 2 hours away to the east. But counterintuitively, not having the resources of a PSG or a Lyon has allowed you to be a little bit more creative and innovative when finding solutions. Now, if you look at the list of players which you guys have produced over the years, it's quite remarkable. Like Paul Pogba, Dmitri Payet, Riyad Mahrez, Wesley Fofana, Steve Mandanda, Ferland Mendy. And you said something interesting in a podcast recently where you spoke about coaching the player and not coaching the exercise. Could you elaborate possibly a bit more on that?
Yeah, that's I would say the heart of my philosophy. Okay, that's something I learned from Bob Bradley. Okay, who used to work in Swansea actually, because he spent 6 months in Swansea, and he used to be the national team coach, of the USA. And he was the manager here in Le Havre. He spent a year and a half here in Le Havre, and I was his assistant coach. I was working with him in his staff, and that's something he taught me. He taught me, and it really fit to what we do every day in Le Havre. That means the exercise is only a way to have the player work, technically, tactically. But the most important is not the exercise or the drill, or is not the drill you are using on the field. The most important is the advice, I would say, you give to the players every day. And sometimes you can even play, I would say, a rondo, 4v2, a very simple exercise. But again, it's not the exercise that makes the player. Is what you're going to teach him to do. How to position his body, how to if he has to use one touch, two touch, if he read on the other side of the ball before receiving the ball, and in fact, in France, when you go and watch some training sessions, you often hear the coaches, coaching the exercise, talking about the rules, talking about you can do this, you can't do that, you can come into this area, you cannot come into this area. But the most important is not to have this, The most important is to act on, I would say, the behavior rules, you give to the player, because at the end, the exercise is only a base where you're going to teach the players to work, and I really think that the coaches, and this is what we do have every day, should focus on what they're going to teach during the drill, and not how they're going to organize it, because when you organize it, that's just an area with 2 areas or 3 areas with one goal, 2 goal with the. And then at the end, it's not there the most important. The most important is what you say to your kid, and what you tell them to do or not to do. That make the difference, And this is why coaching from the player is more important than coaching the exercise. The exercise has to be simple, easy to understand, and if it's too complicated, they will not understand. You will spend more time coaching the exercise because they will not respect the rules. No, the most important is to have something easy. They understand it, they do, they play, and then you, as a coach, spend more time correcting mistakes, giving some cues, making them understand the game, teaching them the game according to your game model. And this is for me what makes the difference as a coach.
And it keeps coaches and players on their feet when you have to be so adaptable. What I'm curious about too, a lot more though, Michael, is the kind of the type and the demographic of player that will be coming to you guys because your geographical landscape, you know, you're 2 hours away from banlieues of Paris where there's a huge street football culture. Nonetheless, you're kind of out of the way from everything. So, you know, typically, I mean, how important to you is diversity when it comes to player development?
I think when you, I mean, I don't know if you watch, the game. I mean, probably not in England because France was playing against Spain. The final of the national. The last Sunday.
Yeah, the
But
game you
if
won.
you look
Yeah,
at the yeah, if you look at the French national team, I think you have a global overview of what kind of players we have in France. And I'm going to tell you this. Why? Because if you look at Spain, for instance, Spain's, Spain has a lot of players, very technical, very easy with the ball, very, very smart, But sometimes, it's quite boring to watch them play, because they play at the same pace, they play all together and they wait for the mistake or they try to create spaces and they try to use some spaces. And then France has a mixture of technical players, powerful players, fast players, tall players, small players, easy with the ball. And I think that this diversity is a real strength, for a team. Because I think that when you build, your game model, it is very, very important to have a diversity in terms of profile. If you have only small technical players, then the day you play against a strong team, a strong, powerful team, it might be hard. If you play against very powerful players, but with a limited, I would say, technical skills, then it's going to be hard for you to play against a very technical team. And I think that this mixture of skills and qualities make the difference. And if you look at France, we have very different profiles. If you compare Benzema to Mbappe, Pogba to Griezmann, Pogba is a tough guy, very powerful, very good technique, of course. Griezmann is is smaller, moving in spaces, very smart. Uh, Mbappe is very fast. Benzema is very technical and moves and play with the other one. So all this mixture of players and profile make the difference. And in Le Havre, we are very similar to the French national team. That means a mixture of tall, powerful players with small technical players. And I don't want to, I would say, put into case, I don't know how do you say it in English, but say the smaller ones are technical. No, that's not
yeah,
but that's
much
that's
so.
the summary. But at the end, I think that you need all kind of qualities in your team, and the more qualities you have in your team, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, it was Bill Shankly. He said something famously back in the day about it. It was the context was a small bit different, but I still think it could be used today. Where he described a team of 11 players. You need 8 players to carry the piano, eight players to carry the piano, and 3 players
Yeah,
to play it. So when you talk
exactly.
about having a diverse game model, a diverse lineup, it certainly does make sense. But ultimately, at the end of the day, you know, coaches have to be pulling in the same direction. And I presume at Le Havre, right, everybody's joined up with the thinking.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's again, we have a game model. The game model in Le Havre is similar to every game model in the world. Okay, you start from the back, you play long ball. Okay, then it's a choice. But then again, that's what's the players are able to do all together that make the difference. And again, for me, the diversity, the mixture of qualities, okay, make the difference. And when we recruit players, we have some ideas of what a center back should be, or how he should look like, or what a striker. But then you can see that in the French, I'm going to use the French national team as an example, but Mbappe is able to play with Benzema, and they're not the same profile. Mbappe is a very fast player. Benzema is more technical, easy to move, easy to combine with, and this is what makes the difference. If we had 11 Mbappes, I'm not sure that we would win something, because you would like probably some defending skills, or maybe you would like some capacity to defend 1v1, so again, the mixture for me is important. And when you build your game model, if you want to have a good team, you need different profile, and this is your capacity to combine all those profiles together. And I think, again, what makes the difference between all this is because they are all smart. If I know that you're fast, but I'm technical, I'm not fast, then if all together we accept to play together, then maybe my technique can be useful to your speed. And this is what we teach, to the players at the academy. It means, look, your teammates, okay? You know that this one is powerful. You know that this one is technical. You know that this one is fast. The most important is that you are able to play with the qualities of your teammates. So that means you must know each other, you must understand each other, and of course, you must use the quality of your teammates. So if he's fast, don't play in the foot, but play in the space, because you know that his speed will be necessary to make the difference. If you know that he's slow, don't play in the space, because if you play in the space, he's gonna play against a faster defender, and he's not gonna make the difference. So use the strength of your teammate, and to do this, you have to understand and know your teammate. And again, when you're a smart player in England, in Spain, in France, you're able to understand that with Mbappe, play in the space, because he's fast and he's faster than the defenders. So understand the teammate, knowing the teammate, for me, make the difference. And again, this is linked to smartness.
Ultimately what you're doing, Mickael, is you're facilitating a greater conscious awareness amongst the players as to what they're doing. And what you once said before at a conference I attended was, the separator between good players and top players is football intelligence, something which was very much apparent in last Sunday's final between Spain and France. But for you, what does football intelligence mean?
This is a very good question. Very good question, because when you're an academy, when you create, I would say, the learning environment, okay, the first question you ask to your staff, and you ask, is, how do we want to play? So we want to play 4-3-3, we want to play 4-4-2. I mean, it's up to everybody, okay? Then you say, okay, what is the aim of our everyday job, or of everyday work? My aim is to produce players. That means to help players to play for the first team, okay? But youth development is a long-term process. That means you start at the age of, in Le Havre, 6, and you finish at the age of 20. And then at 20, 21, you play with a pro team, or you play in another club. But the problem is, if I'm preparing my players at the age of 13 to play 4-4-2 for the pro team, maybe in 6 or 7 years, probably, the manager will be away. We will be sacked, okay? Because we know that in France, a manager stays 1 year, a year and a half, maybe 2 years in a club, and then goes to another club. So my aim is to say, no, I'm not preparing. Of course, I'm preparing my players to play for the first team, of course. But my job is to prepare them for the high level. So that means my players at the academy are playing now in Le Havre, but maybe, and I hope, in 2, 5, 6 years, they will play for Guardiola, or for Klopp, or for another big coach. And they don't have the same way of playing football. When you're smart, you're able to play all kind of football because you're smart. That means understanding where you are on the field, understanding what happens on the field, and understanding what your teammate is expecting from you. And as I said earlier, football intelligence for me is the capacity of the player to adapt on the field according to the situation. it's not a question of playing 4-4-2, 4-3-3, or 3-5-2, or 3. It's not a question of this. The question is, my player is smart. He will be able to play with every kind of managers. Mbappe, if he goes to Man City, if he goes to Liverpool, if he goes to Real Madrid or Barcelona, he will be able to play because he's smart. Messi was in Barcelona, he's playing his PSG, he's smart, he's able to play. So for me, football intelligence is this, the capacity of the player to adapt, to understand the environment, to adapt, and to use the environment as a strength and not as a weakness. And this is very true. And as a youth developer, you're preparing them for the future. So that means they will start their career at the age of 20. They will finish at the age of 32, 33. They will play with different managers, with different styles. And because they are smart, they will be able to play with different kinds of managers, And when you're smart, again, is using the environment. So we were talking about scanning. Yes, scanning, whether you play in 4-4-2, or whether you play in 4-3-3, you need it. It's not a question of style, or it's not a question. If you're a fullback, whether you're fullback in 4-4-2 or fullback in 4-3-3, overlapping is part of the job. So you have to teach your kid when to overlap or when to support your winger. Because whether you play in 4-4-2 or 4-3-3, this is part of the job. So this is for me. Football intelligence. Football intelligence is, again, the capacity of the player to adapt on the field, according to the situation.
Yeah, I think that, something you've touched upon in the past too, obviously, about the scanning, about the situational awareness, it's a huge part of adaptation of the player to the environment. Yes. What I'm curious about though, Mickael, is I didn't know that, for example, you were a teacher before, but obviously you've played a prominent role in the success of the Havre Academy over the past 17 years. All this work you've done on scanning, on situational awareness, so on and so forth, is that something which gradually became apparent to you during your time at Havre, or is that something that immediately when you arrived in through the doors that you realized this is missing from our curriculum, we must adapt this into the game model?
It's an interesting question, but I will link it to my job as a teacher, and then I will link it to my job as a youth coach. I used to be an English teacher, so I haven't spoken English for a long time because, in France, we don't speak much English, but I used to be an English teacher. And my job was to think about how can I teach English to French guys or to French girls, young boys and girls, so that they remember it and they're able to be fluid with it, without thinking too much or learning only words, So how can I help them to? So it's part of the learning process, what happened in their head, And so when I was teaching, I was thinking about this. Yes, okay, I'm going to teach this, but what I want them is to remember this. So what can I do? Activities, teaching strategy, what can I do to make sure that they will remember it? When I was starting coaching, I didn't think about it. Because I was working at the academy, I was coaching, I was training, preparing my training sessions. And what struck me at the beginning was I don't understand, because I have very good players, top players in the academy, but I don't understand why some are succeeding and why some are not succeeding, are failing. Why? Some who were failing were very good players, and sometimes you had a player, he was not as good as the other ones, but he could succeed. Why? What makes the difference? So at the beginning, you have one is succeeding, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you are able to compare them and say, okay, what do they have in common, so that this player is succeeding and this one is not succeeding. And I was thinking about this capacity of game intelligence. I said, because, okay, they all have a good technique. They all have physical qualities. But this one is playing at the top level and this one is not. Why? And again, for me, game intelligence. But then I say, yeah, but what is game intelligence? Gradually, I was working with my players. I was reading because I'm a teacher, so I like reading. I like searching or making some research, about stuff. And I was lucky to take, my youth elite license, in Clairefontaine, and I had to do some research work. And I said I was watching videos, and I had to analyze some situations. And when I was analyzing the situations, I could see that the players were never, when I say never, were not focusing on the ball, but we're focusing on the spaces, on what happens. And because, on the video, you can see very precisely, because you can stop every second what happens, and you can see, they are turning their head on the left, on the right. And then I was lucky to meet some people who were working in Barcelona, and we were discussing about Messi, and he said, yes, Messi, that's something that we taught him. We were doing daily work to teach him how to be aware, how to scan, how to be aware of his of the situation he's in. And little by little, I started to think about it, and gradually, I was adding in my training sessions some what I call scanning skills, or scanning drills. That means, okay, yes, but the question is, I can work on technique. I can work on the physical work. If you want them to be, if you want your player to be better, you will have them run. If you want him to be better with the technique, you will have him repeat some technical drills. But can I do something to help them to develop this field of action? This scanning skill. And then little by little, I tried, and this is why I came to the Football Innovation Summit. I try to think about it. I say, okay, yes, but I have to find some tools to be able to make sure that the player is not focusing only on the ball, but is focusing on the spaces, on the teammates, on the opponents. And little by little, I decided to do it. I decided to try it with the kids. And actually, when you try it with the kids, you can see that two important points. It's fun. They like it very much. And you can see that they are improving. So I'm not telling you that everybody will become a pro. I'm not telling you this, because to become a pro, you need more qualities. But at least maybe if I work this field, of scanning, maybe I will help one of them to succeed, in the future, and now we in the Havre, we have a process. We start at a very young age. We have 3-4 sequences per week, and this sequence, which can be after the warm-up, which can be during a possession game or something, is called scanning sequence. So that means during 10, 12 minutes, we organize, or we use tools to make sure that the player is not focusing on the ball, but is focusing on some other details. So gradually, at the beginning, we were not working on this, but gradually we decided to add, I would say, this type of work, within our session, because I think it's part of our job. Our job as a youth developer is to develop as many tools as possible, to develop as many qualities as possible, for the players.
And what I'm keen to learn more, it's something we discussed off camera before this podcast, actually, Mickael, the process of skill acquisition, how, most players you come across, they obviously have that ability to scan. It comes naturally to them, or it's unnatural, it doesn't come to them. That process of disseminating learning, going from working memory to long-term memory in the brain. Could you perhaps enlighten us as to some strategies or training exercises which you use to cultivate this within players?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, I think that if you don't do it, if you don't work it, if you don't organize, I would say, drills or scanning sequence every week, for sure, some will do it naturally, some will not. And then we can discuss about this, because sometimes when you play in the street, when in the suburb, you play with you play the under 13 is playing with the under 18 all together, or we all played football like this, you know, we all started like this. You develop some qualities, you know, because you know that the younger ones, the bigger ones will is faster than me. So you develop some qualities. And when you look at in France, at least, I don't know in England, but in France, some of the players coming from the suburb, and especially in Paris, they have more chance to succeed than the other ones. Okay, because they are playing in an environment where nothing is organized. You know, nothing is organized. So they have to develop different kind of different capacities to read, scan, try, fail, succeed, and then this helps them to have a kind of maturity. Okay. Then in the teaching process or in the learning process, I would divide it into three steps. You do it naturally or not naturally. Okay, so you're aware of it or you're not aware of it. Then, because as a coach, I organize drills, I will make them aware of it. That means, please turn your head on the left if the ball is on the right. Check your shoulder if the ball is in front of you, to make sure that if you turn around, you know that what happens in your back, you know. And then from this moment of awareness, because you are teaching it, so you are telling them what to do, then it becomes automatic. And when it becomes automatic, then when the boy or when the girl is on the field, he will do it naturally. You know, he will do it, he will check his shoulder without even thinking about it. He will, because it becomes a kind of, I don't know if I can say it in English, but it's reflex. I
Reflex,
say
yeah.
it?
Yeah, correct.
Reflex? No?
Correct.
It's something that we do without thinking about it. But the ball is on my left. Oh, I turn around very quickly. I turn my head on the right just to make sure that there is nobody, or if I can turn. And if you look at Messi, is a very good example. Just watch a game of Messi, and you will see how many times. Just focus your eyes on him, and you will see how many times he turned his head before receiving the ball. It's absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. So again, natural, not natural, awareness, then automatic. You know, and I gave you the example of driving. When we first get into the car, when we were taught how to drive, at the beginning, it was, oh, there are too many things to think about. You know, my foot, my turn the left, turn my head on the right, on the left. I have to use my right foot to accelerate. I have to use my left foot to stop. So you have to think about this. And then if you compare what you were doing when you started to learn how to drive, and now you are doing things automatically without thinking. So you're turning your head, it's easy. Sometimes you're driving with one hand, and it's very easy, you know. So this is exactly the same process, okay? So in Le Havre, we have drills, we have sequences. So as I said, you have a minimum of 3 sequences added in the session. It can be a technical work, it can be a game, okay, it can be a technical work or a game. So it can be a possession game, or it can be a very simple technical work. But the idea is to ask to the player to read what happens on the opposite side of the ball, because the ball is the only object on the field, and naturally the player is attracted by the ball. If you go and watch a game with very young kids, you know, they're in the ball, they're all around in England, in France, everywhere, they're all attracted by the ball, and they are all running, you know, like a grape, you know, they're all running around the ball, you know, so the ball is on the right, they're all on the right, they're all on the left. And then little by little, you know, you open your mind, and you are taught how to position. If you're a defender, striker, you try to organize in the space. And then I think that the top step, or the final step, is when the player is aware of everything, you know. And this is sometimes, and as I said, this is what makes the difference between the top players and the normal players, because the top players, they have a kind of radar, on top of the head, and they know exactly where the opponent is, where the teammate is, and when the ball gets closer, he knows that if the ball gets closer, he will have more pressure. Okay, the more the ball gets closer to you, okay, the more pressure you're going to have. Okay, so when you receive the ball at the highest level, he knows exactly what he has a clear view of what happens around him, and then he will make the right decision. Okay, so we teach, so we have technical work, tactical possession game, and we try to, again, as I said, to make things automatic, because if you work at the age of 9 and you finish at the age of 20, then you will develop some skills in this I would say field of action, in this capacity to read what happens around you.
And ultimately, Michael, it's all connected throughout the game model, whether or not you're a 6-year-old or a 20-year-old within your own academy. The one difference being, of course, the use of cues, as you elaborated upon before. Not every 7-year-old is going to understand what a gap or a window means. But could you just tell us a little bit more, perhaps, as to how basically this work with scanning is part of your game model, how it informs your game model?
Yeah. We have our game model. My game model is very huge. It's like 200 pages, something like this. So, but I will sum it up in this way. Our game model is much deeper than 4-4-2 or direct style or combinative style. It's much more than this. It's not we start from the back or we're going to play long ball. Okay, this is for me a philosophy. For me, the game model then is taught to the kids, and for every position in attack, defense, transition, offensive transition, defensive transition, we have identified a number of fundamentals. Okay, I will give you a very simple idea. If you take the example of the center back, whether he plays in 4-3-3, 4-4-2, or whatever, there are some fundamentals for a center back everywhere in the world. Okay, and to link it with scanning, we try to ask him or to give him cues to watch before deciding. For instance, you're a center back. The first thing you have to analyze is the position of the striker. Okay, of the opponent, of course, of the other team. So, where am I positioned according to the striker? Am I close? Am I far? Do I have time? Or am I under pressure? This is the first stuff. Then the second stuff is I have the ball in the foot. I have to be able to, I have the ball, so I would say the first attacker, okay, because I'm a defender, but I'm attacking. So I have the ball, I'm attacking. Then I have 3 different cues to identify. First cue is, do I have space in front of me? If I have space in front of me, if the striker is far away, then I can drive the ball into this space. Then where do I stop? I'm not here to dribble, but do I stop? Where do I stop according to the line of the midfielders? At this moment, as a center back, you have to decide what kind of pass you're going to make. 3 different cues. There are some other ones, okay? But this is for us the starting point. And then I will tell you the process, in the youth development. First one is look very far away on the opposite side and identify the position of your winger to play a long ball. This is option Actually, this is not option one, this is option two, okay? Because option one is identify what happens between the lines, identify the gaps, if the gaps is open, close, if one of your teammates is unmarked or if he's marked, and then be able to play a through pass, between the lines. This is option one, okay? Because the idea is to play on the ground. But if it's closed, there is all my teammates are marked, within the inside, the game. Then identify the position of your winger. This is option two. Option two, play a long ball on the opposite side. Option three, I have space. The midfielder of the opposite team is not stepping up. I'm able to drive the ball in order to, I would say, create superiority on the next line, and then identify the position of the defenders and see if there is space behind. And then maybe you can find a winger running back behind the back four, or maybe you can see a fullback running into the back four. Okay, I could have shown you, but I know it's a podcast, but I have videos and I have some PowerPoint presentation about this. So when you're a center back, when you arrive in Le Havre, in the game model, you will teach the center back, or you will tell him to the center back, this is what I want you to watch, to what I want you to see. So it's linked to scanning, because that means I will guide him where to look at. I would say where to identify the cues. So long ball, through pass, or a pass behind the back four of the opposite team, and then make the decision. Identify the situation and make the decision. And because we have references, these references are used when we correct the player after a game. For instance, if I want my center back to work on analyze his game, I will not tell him, oh, look, you were bad, or you were good, or you were wonderful. No. We played again this afternoon. I spoke with my center back. They know, they have those three cues. I say, look, I want you to identify two good situations, two good passes, which can be option 1, 2, or 3. Okay. And I want you to identify two bad choices. And then we discuss about it. So this is the part after the game. And then we will discuss, we will compare what the reference is, and we will compare what he did. Good, bad, discuss about it, and try to understand why he made this choice rather than another one. Okay, so this is how it works. So for every position, we have references, 3 references, transition. So we have the same for the fullback, for the defensive mid, offensive mid, winger, striker, transition, offensive transition, defensive transition, defend and attack. And for each position, we have a specific drill. Okay, because this is important. So sometimes in our weekly plan, we decide to say, okay, today we're going to work on the center backs. So we will focus our attention on the center backs. Okay, so we have a specific drill to work this kind, to help them to identify some cues. So this is how we build the game model. So at the end, when you work with the center back, with the fullback, with the defensive mid, the offensive mid, at the end, they have a clear view of what they have to do in the system, how they can move. So I'm a midfielder. I know that my center back is driving the ball because the striker is far away. I'm a midfielder. How do I move into the gap? Okay, when do I move? When to move? How to receive the ball? Because I know that his cue is to identify where I am positioned inside, or if I'm a winger, okay, I can see that my center back is driving. Maybe he's going to try to play a long ball on the other side with me. So, you try to connect the players because they know the cues of everybody. So they know that if I'm a winger, I can be a cue for the center back. Or if I'm a midfielder, I can be a cue. And we have the same for every position, And then you can tell me, yes, but Mickael, do you think that an under 12 boy is able to play a long ball? The question is no. The question is no. Okay, but we add options according to the age. So that means we will ask to our under 12 team or under 11 team to play a through pass and the pass in the space behind the back four, because this is an easy pass to make. But then when you are 14 and 15 or 16, then you will add this option 2 long ball, because they are stronger, they have more strength, and they are able to play a long ball on the opposite side. So this is how we construct our game model. So the game model is based on philosophy, but also on fundamentals per position, for each position.
Very interesting. And yet it all reverts back to, Mickael, the delivery of the message. And we spoke a bit earlier about Pochettino and Guardiola even having to adapt to the players at their disposal. I mean, what I'm curious to learn is how you, yourself as a coach and as a person, has had to adapt to the latest crop of players coming through the Havre Academy.
Yeah. If I come back to the point, again, we guide the players. We don't tell the players what to do. Okay, we give them 3 options, but at the end, the one who decides is the player. And then as a coach, I will analyze with him his decision and see if option 1 was better than option B or option C. But this because I think that you were a player yourself. When you are on the field, when you are playing with the ball, even if you worked the previous week, you have to do this and this and that, but when you're on the field, you're alone, and it never happens, or rarely happens. So the idea is not to tell the player, I want you to do this, is to say, look, I'm going to give you some cues to identify, and then you are alone on the field, you have the ball in the feet, you are the one who's going to decide. And as a youth developer, I will help you to understand the situation you were in, because he played the game, and I will help you to identify maybe if you made the right choice or if you made the wrong choice according to the situation. So you decided to play a through pass, but at the end, your pass was intercepted, and you didn't see that on the opposite side, the winger was alone. So you will try to help him. And because, of course, in the learning process, you start at a very early age and you do it every year, then at the end, it becomes something that the boy is not closed into, I want you to do this or that. The boy is closed in cues, identify the cues and make your choice.
When it's all said and done, I mean, Mickael, in your role as technical director, it's quite multifaceted. You're obviously involved in the day-to-day operations, the planning,
Yes.
logistics, and you're on the pitch on a daily basis. But overall, I mean, in your position, what does success mean to you?
For me, the success is only the success of the player. I promise you that I don't care about, when I say this, again, don't take it in the wrong way. I don't care about the results. Okay, when I say I don't care about the results, what I focus on the behavior of the players on the field and on the content on the field. Okay, now if I play against PSG and I lose 2-0, if the content was good, I'm happy. Okay, if I win 9-0 against an amateur club, but then the content was too easy and we didn't play the way we should have played, I'm not happy. So I mean, the result for me is not the main indicator to success. For me, the main indicator to success is what happened on the field and how you, as a coach, you use it to help your player to grow. Because at the end, when I see Pogba playing for Man United, when I see Mahrez playing for Leicester, when I see Payet playing for Marseille, or all the players, Lys Mousset, who is in England, this is for me the success. When you come to Le Havre, you will see all those pictures of the players, who came through the academy, and this is for us the main trophy. This does not mean that I don't want to win. We all want to win. Okay, we all want to win, and we never tell them, because you are preparing for the highest level. So you never tell them, oh, I want you to lose. No, no, no. This is not the way it works. But for me, when I see my player 17, 19 playing with the pro team, in the main stadium, I'm very happy. This is my job,
And
and this is for me the success. Then the rest is has no sense for me. But for me, the most important is to see him play with the first team, and this is my only, I would say, matter of living, and my matter of working, I would say, is to have to see them with the first team. And then, of course, winning the World Cup, because you know that we are very lucky, because we had three players of the academy who won the World Cup, the last World Cup. So we are very proud, because we are the only one academy with Lyon having three players, in the same academy, winning the World Cup. So we are very, very happy, because, of course, it's also for us the biggest trophy. I haven't won the World Cup, but I'm very happy to see them, with the World Cup, and say, oh, I was lucky to work with those kind of players.
obviously, it's an illustrious set of names, and the list runs so long you wouldn't believe, Michael. But I mean, if you were to be a little bit, indulgent, I mean, what three characteristics would you use to describe yourself as a coach?
I think I'm curious. I like making some research, and going to other countries. I travel a lot, in the US, travel a lot in the world, to share ideas. I like sharing ideas, but I also like learning from others. So when I came to the Football Innovation Summit, but I often go to the US. I mean, it's for me, it's a great experience, because I like this. So I'm quite curious, hard worker, because I have to say that I spend a lot of hours. It's 7 days a week, almost 10, 12, sometimes 14 hours a day. Because I arrive very, very early and leave very late. The academy, because you have, of course, I would say, the daily work. But when I come back late at home, like today, I'm sharing ideas, I'm discussing with other coaches, I'm learning, and I like learning, and this is important. And I would say I like uh, helping, I would say, the kids, but not only the kids, also the coaches, because I think that my job is this, as a youth developer. uh, I was given the chance to work with the pro team. I was given the chance to be the first team coach, or the manager of the women team who played in D1, which is the highest level in France. But at the end, my job is helping the young ones to succeed. So I like helping the kids, the coaches, to grow, and to improve their everyday work, I would say. So this is how I would sum up, I would say, my way of working, or my way of thinking.
And as somebody who's developed, World Cup winners, top of the top when it comes to elite football, what
Yeah.
advice would you have for young coaches that are at professional clubs, grassroots clubs that would look to trod a similar path to yourself?
Again, I think work hard, because I think the worst thing for a coach is to stop learning. Because I think that every day, well, I'm lucky, because I'm working in a pro academy. I used to work in an amateur club a long time ago, and I think that the worst thing is to stop learning. So, because our job, I mean, there are so many. Even myself, I'm learning every day. When I say I'm learning every day, sharing ideas, talking with other coaches, sometimes looking for some drills, on the web, and say, oh, okay, I'm going to use it and try to adapt it this way. And I think that as a coach, when you come on the field and you repeat every day the same thing, and and there are many coaches like this sometimes. They arrive, they know how to make a technical drill or a possession game, and then you do the same thing every week. every year, then it becomes, boring, when you train 5, 6, 7 times a week, you have to bring ideas, because if you don't bring ideas, then your players will get bored, and you will get bored yourself, So the idea is to have something, powerful, where you can share ideas, where you can try things. And this is what I like in this job, in this job, when I arrive, when I was a teacher every day, you arrive, say, okay, I'm going to teach English, I'm going to teach present, past, you know. In football, you can try, according to the game you play, the game you're going to play, you can try stuff, and stop. I would say that work hard, because I think when you stop learning, you are losing your passion, and you are losing your I would say yes, I would say your passion, and I think that when you work with young kids, you have to keep this passion.
Of course, I think that's great advice to close the show. But anyways, Michael, it's been an absolute honor and privilege to be on the end of an hour-long coaching masterclass. I'm sure myself and many, many others will get so much value from this episode. So thank you once again.
Thank you, Connor. It was a pleasure to share with you. And again, if you want to share, if you want me to share some ideas, or if you want to share some ideas, as I said, I'm open-minded. So I have to learn from you, and I can share some ideas with you. And this is how we grow. How we grow.